Well, let's get into the 6 thinking hats. So if you look across, you'll see 6 hats. A white hat, a yellow hat, a red hat, a black hat, a green hat. That was 6. So the 6 thinking hats each represents a different way in which you think. So the hats is actually a metaphor. Do you remember in English you studied a metaphor? So we use the hats to represent a type of thinking. And it's just there to help us understand that there are different types of thinking. And when we wear a particular hat, we think in that particular manner. All right, so those are going to be our 6 thinking tools to help us shape the way we see something. All right, so that's your introduction on the 6 hats. So let's start with the first one. Let's put on a white hat. Right, white, what does that think? White fluffy clouds, a white dress that brides wear. So white is supposed to be symbolic of some calmness, some sort of purity around it. That's the color white, right? So in thinking, white is the one that gives us information. That is clear, it's precise. What's the information about a particular issue? So when you take a particular problem, the first thing you ask yourself, okay, I'm not listening to how the person said it. I'm not going to listen to the emotion that the person put into the issue. I'm not going to react with any emotion. I'm not going to be happy, sad in what I hear. I'm putting what I'm hearing in front of me and I'm analyzing it clinically. What facts, irrefutable facts are here? When somebody says something and you think it's their opinion and they shaded what they said to you, that's not a fact. Okay, that's an opinion. So break that opinion down. What from there is actual information? Now we all think in different ways. When you talk to people that you know, you get some that react very emotionally when you tell them something. It's yippee yay! So people react emotionally. Often they call the drama queens. So you get people that react very negatively. All right, they're constantly telling you why something will never happen. Have you met anyone like that? There's some people always sees the negative of something. Some people will be very clinical on how they look at it. How much is it going to cost me? How long is it going to take? You see, all of these are different types of thinking. So a white hat will be the person always asking, what's the facts here? When, what, who, how? That's white hat thinking. So let's look at an example of a white hat thinking.
How to register? Tap the iWiz icon. On the login screen, click Sign Up. Complete all fields and click Sign Up. Enter your email and request an OTP. Enter the OTP sent to your email and click Submit OTP. You are successfully registered. Use your email and password to begin.
Just a quick recap. Before we get in doing the examples, let's just consolidate what white hat thinking is. A white hat is all about getting the information out on the table. This means focusing on what we already know. What facts do we have right now? What data is available? Is there a report on this matter? What statistics do I have available? Here you would identify what information do we need more. Is there something here that's missing? Do we need to find out more about it? What questions do we need to answer to understand this better? Also, when we're checking here, you've got to be very clear and specific. We can't have vague information about the issue. So vague information is not helpful. White hat thinking wants precise details and clear data. Putting aside opinions and interpretations for now, the white hat is about collecting the ingredients before we start cooking. We'll analyze and interpret the facts later when we start putting all the hats together. And then we will talk about coming to a conclusion. But for now, remember, white hat, clinical, to the point, precise. Now let's take an example of white hat thinking, all right? Imagine your class is planning a trip and your teacher says, well, let's do some white hat thinking about this. So what are we going to do? We're going to get all the information. We're going to get all the facts. The first question we're going to ask is, what is the budget? Ask the teacher or the school, the person coordinating this, what is our budget? How much of money do we have available for this trip? Then your next thing was going to be, how much of time do we have for this trip? Is it a one-day excursion, 2 days? In the school calendar, is it going to be on a school day? Is it going to be on a holiday? Is it going to be on a weekend? How many children are interested in going on this trip? Let's do a quick survey in the class and ask the students, how many of you are actually going to come on this trip? And having that information, then you ask, what are possible destinations, given the budget that we have, given the time that we have, and given the number of students that we have, what are possible destinations? You can use a Google search. And also think about the transport in getting there once you decide on where we're going. What's the cost of that transport? Because that's probably part of the factors that would contribute towards making the price that each student has to pay. So what information do we have missing? It was when we're going, which day we're going, what's our budget going to be there, and then we can sit and do the analysis and come up with where we're going, what we're going to spend. So that typically is white hat thinking. Let's take another example. You want to choose a cell phone. You want to buy a cell phone. So what type of white hat thinking? Now, often when you want a cell phone, what do? I want the new iPhone 15, or I want the Samsung Galaxy. Immediately, that's the choice. Immediately, in your mind, you make that choice. But we need to sit down, and there are many bits of information we need first. So the question is, what cell phone should I buy? So use white hat thinking here. What's my budget? How much realistically can I spend? How much is my mom giving me? How much is grandma giving me? What do I mainly use my cell phone for? Now, I'm a victim here because I have this cell phone, very expensive, but what do I do with it? I send email, I receive email, and I make calls. I take the occasional photograph, but there's so much more to this phone. But I'm not using all of those functions. So that's a white hat thinking question. What are you going to use your cell phone for? Is it social media? Are you using it as a computer to send documents or to write documents? Another question. What are the top rated cell phones within my budget range? So I think here you might have to do a lot of research. You might have to get to websites and start looking at different websites and reading up about comments that people who have used this and might have written reviews and read them. So then you can have a more balanced perspective. Now, if somebody asked me, I'll say, oh, wow, the iPhone's terrific. I own an iPhone, so I am prejudiced and I'm biased in my knowledge because I only have knowledge on this. So don't expect anyone who, let's take a new phone that's on the market. Which one? Let's take Oppo. I believe there's a new phone called Oppo. Now, if I ask the people around me about it, what they're going to say, oh, that's a Chinese phone. Or, I don't know, it's probably low end. But nobody there has a full perspective of what that phone is. So the responsibility is yours to go and do research. It might be the best possible buy, and indeed, I think it's a fantastic phone. So you will go in and look at and investigate before making a decision. Don't trust somebody else's judgment if they do not have detailed experience at it. You could ask, what are the key specifications I should compare, like camera quality, battery life, storage space, screen space? Research what is important for you. Another question, what are the prices of the different models and brands? And a quick check online and go into the websites of the local stores like the Macro and the Game. Go in and have a look in these stores and see how much they are. So the white hat outcome, now you have a fact sheet, your budget, your phone usage needs, a list of phone models with their specification and prices. You haven't decided which phone is best yet, but you have the facts you need to make an informed decision later when you get all the other thinking hats together. Then you make your decision. Let's give you a little example to work on. There's a new law. There's a new story that came out, and a new law is being proposed. Let's use the white hat thinking to think about this.
iWiz app help you?
Okay, the iWiz app helped me a lot because there are videos there, there are books, there are documents. It was like you have a teacher in your pocket, you know. It was so fantastic. It just made my life so easier, and look what I got.
Let's find out the facts. How do we go about doing that? In the media, you hear a lot on politics. You hear the minister made a decision. The president came out with the new law. Recently, it came out with the Bella law, the amendment to the Bella Act. And all of that affects us as teachers, as students, as parents. It affects homeschooling if you want to homeschool. So let's take that example, all right? And try and understand it, and let's use some white hat thinking around it. What you would ask is, what is the law about? Let's find out the facts. What's the exact name of the law? What is the purpose of the law? What are the key points of the law? Who will be affected by this? How will I be affected by this? What are the current facts and figures related to the issue the law is trying to address? Are there any statistics? Are there any reports? Are there any studies? What does the government officials say? What motivation are they providing for it? Can I listen to their speeches to understand it? Why are they taking that perspective of it? So the white hat outcome to that would be, you now have a factual understanding of the law, its name, its purpose, key points, who is affected by it, who it affects, and all the background information. You haven't yet formed an opinion on whether it is good or bad, because we'll form the opinion after the other hats. White hat is just about getting clear, precise, objective information. Now, let's take an example that's closer to you at home, all right? So you have a curfew that you can go out, you can chat to your friends, but you've got to be home by 10 o'clock, all right? Now, you've grown a little bigger and you want that curfew to be increased, right? So imagine you want to ask your parents to extend your curfew. How would you go about analyzing that? Can you take a minute? And I will give you a minute to sit and analyze the problem. Let's do a white hat thinking on this, okay? Right, take you a minute now. analyze it. You've done your analysis on it, so let's look at it now. So the situation is you want to extend your curfew. So let's look at the facts. What is my current curfew? So you've got to be very precise, all right? So example, it's 10 o'clock on a Friday and 10 o'clock on a Saturday. On a weekday, you're not allowed to go out. So that's very being precise on a curfew. What are my parents' reasons for my current curfew? Right? So ask yourself, and I'm sure you would have put it down, is it for safety reasons? Is it because you need more sleep? Is it they want to have family time? Is it they want you to look after your sibling? Try to recall what they have said to you, why you have that particular curfew. What are the typical weekend curfew times for students my age, for children your age? How in your area, in your social group, how are other parents managing this? Ask your friends, look at general guidelines online and have a look at what world consensus on this issue is. When you're asking, though, make sure the reliability of the information you are asking. All right? Then ask yourself, how am I doing with my current curfew? Have I consistently been home on time? Have I been bad and breaking curfew all the time? Were there exceptions when I actually did break it? Be really honest with yourself. All right? What activities am I planning to do if my curfew is extended? What exactly do I need that extra time for? Be very specific. Like, I'm going to attend my friend's birthday. Well, then that just might be a one-off time. Or you want to go to movies on Friday nights and the movie actually starts at 8. By the time it finishes, it's just after 10 and you need to drive home. Have details available like the location, where it is, how many kilometers away it is. So these are all the facts that you need before you actually begin to start shaping that fact into an opinion and into a reasoning speech that you can lay on your parents. This is a thinking tool we're talking about, right, folks? So it's really important that we practice them to get our thinking to be correct about how to use these tools. So if you're doing this course, you're part of the program on our thinking skills and you would be given a workbook either to download or a hard copy of a workbook. And in that workbook, you would have seen several exercises. So please make sure that you've completed every exercise in that book. So we go now to the end of the white hat thinking and go to the multiple choice questions. You will find 20 multiple choice questions and each of them give you a scenario and they give you 5 alternatives. So we're just going to do 5 of those and you will complete the rest of them in your workbook. All right? So if you watch on your screen, you will look at the first scenario. So let's go and do this together. The first one says, your class is discussing whether to have a class party. Which comment is white hat thinking? Is it A, a party would be so much fun and we deserve a celebration? Is it B, parties are a great way to bond and make memories? Is it C, our class has 30 students and the average cost per person for the party last year was 50 Rand? Or is it D, who will pay for the party? We need to consider costs and budget. Think about it. Which do you say would be the correct alternative? Sometimes they might be really close. So you've got to really dig in and try and answer which one is correct. I would think C is correct. It provides objective, factual information, number of students, and past cost. Options A and B are yellow and red hat. their positive feelings and benefits. Option D is black hat. It's a cost concern. So my opinion is that it is option C. Well done if you've got option C. Let's move on to the second scenario. Your friend wants to start a new study group. Which comment uses white hat thinking? Option A, a study group is a fantastic idea. We can help each other learn. Option B, study groups can be really motivating and supportive. Option C, I'm enthusiastic about improving our grades together. Option D, research shows that students in study group often perform better in exams. This one's a lot easier, isn't it? All right, tell me then, which ones do you think is the correct answer? Absolutely. It's D, because it presents factual, evidence-based information, research on study groups' effectiveness. Options A, B, and C are yellow and red hat, and as you would come to see later. All right, I think I will stop there because you get the idea of white hat thinking. Now please go to your workbooks and complete the 20 examples and the 20 MCQs, multiple choice questions, on the white hat thinking before we jump on to the next hat.